Speedway Report is produced and broadcast by the Zeus Radio Network for Racers Reunion Radio. Ferrari is lacking reliability 2 races in. NASCAR qualifying in the Cup Series is a punchline, and I will remember the underdog tonight driving the Underbird. We got all this and more coming up. Welcome to Speedway Report for Monday, April the 1st, 2019. From the shores of Lake Norman in Race City, USA, Mooresville, North Carolina, I'm Patrick Reynolds, and thank you for joining the fastest half hour in racing. Let's jump into the Victory Lane lap for the last weekend in March of 2019. We'll go over the races, the results, and who won what. Well, the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup cars ran 500 miles yesterday in Fort Worth, Texas. Daytona 500 champion Denny Hamlin was the first under the checkered flag. The Xfinity and trucks were there for a triple-header weekend. Who was your money on? You probably laid even odds. Kyle Busch won both of those races, was leading the Cup race on Sunday, got into the wall, had to come in to change a tire going down, pull out some body work. Wound up in the top 10, but had to put the broom away. 2 more wins in NASCAR, but not the Cup show on Sunday. NASCAR's Willard Modified Tour made its second stop of the season here in the Southland. Came to South Boston, Virginia, where Ronnie Silk won the 150-lapper on Saturday afternoon. NASCAR's K&N Pro Series West was in action at the half mile in Irwindale, California. Trevor Huddleston beat Tanner Gray in a photo finish out there. Formula One ran a Sunday evening race in Bahrain where Lewis Hamilton was the winner, not the fastest, but the winner. We'll talk a little bit about Bahrain shortly. World of Outlaw Sprint cars raced in California as they concluded their West Coast swing for the spring of 2019. On Friday night in Hanford, California, Connecticut native David Gravel won the A-Main, and on Saturday night in Paris, Aaron Rutzel wound up in Victory Lane. Now, past late models came down and ran the Commonwealth Classic Saturday in Richmond, Virginia. Mike Hopkins won the Crate Late Model 75, and Austin Reed won the Super Late Model feature. Big Money Matt Hirschman won the Tour Type Modified race. All righty. We've been off the air for a few weeks. I've been fighting whatever I've got. Cold, allergies, call it what you want. Put me in a real difficult spot to navigate a radio show with a microphone and a voice. I've got cough drops. I've got water. I've got tea. It's just off camera. It's just off mic. It's ready to go. Hopefully, I'll get through this show okay. But I missed you guys. I hate not doing a show. We regularly take breaks around Christmas time and New Year's each year, as well as the Monday summertime holidays. I figure you guys aren't watching much TV then anyway. But occasionally, the sickness does crop up. So personally, just couldn't make it to camera and air, but I thank every one of you for being back with us today. And we come back on April the 1st, April Fool's Day. And if you're like me, you do follow the racing on social media. I kind of do it all day, every day. I've got accounts on Instagram, 2 Twitter accounts, 2 Facebook accounts, LinkedIn, Google+. I go over this at the end of every show. So connect with me anywhere on social media. And what I find tough is these annual April Fool's stories, which have it's gotten to the stupid level. It's gotten to the stupid level where I just roll my eyes. Where years and years ago, when we got into a little more news, a little more flavor, a little more personality, and it was cool. I found it funny. And now it's just every year I dread it. I roll my eyes, and it's gone. The joke's gone way past. You beat it to death, social media and PR people. Enough is enough. It's April 1st. We pull pranks. We got it. Stop writing fake news. There's enough fake news that is reported by the real media every day that they report as fact. We don't need it here in motorsports. I complained about this weeks ago, not about April Fools particularly, but about the lack of professionalism, lack of fact-checking, lack of real news, and we make stuff up as we go along. Never mind racing, but the mainstream media here in the United States is pathetic. In the racing world, we just don't need it. We've got enough April Fool's Day stuff all the time anyway by people writing of an agenda. So I don't really need it anymore. Not funny. Don't get it. Yeah, Kyle Busch is not being fired by Gibbs. Carl Edwards is not coming back. Richard Petty is not coming out of retirement to chase down Kyle Busch's 200 win. No. None of this is going to happen. Stop. For the love of God, stop. You're not funny anymore. You were funny a little bit for years ago for about 5 minutes, but you're not anymore. So stop it. Quit. It's kind of like when the Cup Series goes to New Hampshire and all those Cup and Xfinity Twitter accounts start firing away with the really bad New England Boston accents, typing H's where the R's are and thinking they're funny. Lobster. Yeah, you're not funny then, and neither are the April Fool's jokes. It's been done. It's over. It's not funny. Stop with the April Fool's stuff. However, one of the biggest bright spots, if we can get April Fool's Day out of our mind, is that it is April 1st. This is my favorite time of the year because 1 month from today, it's May 1st. In May, that's Racer Christmas, my friends. The February is pretty sporty, pretty nice. However, May is the month. Racer December, Racer Christmas. So we're 1 month away. And then when we hit June 1st, I kind of cried because we got to come all the way around the calendar to get to this point again. So absorb this, my friends, my family, my beautiful viewers, my audience. Love you guys. April, it's here. Enjoy it. This is kind of like a little kid on November 1st where you get that Christmas feel. It's not here yet, but you know it's coming. And all that good stuff is ahead of you. It's not behind you. It's ahead of you. I'm looking forward to that as the Indy cars head to Birmingham this weekend. Yeah, you see where I'm going with the month of May. So we've been off for 2 weeks. We missed a lot of stuff. I did anyway. And I didn't miss it keeping track of it. I missed on reporting it. I missed talking about Sebring. I missed talking about the accomplishment of Kyle Busch's 200 wins. And we missed the passing. It's not news, I know, but we missed Francis Flock passing a few weeks ago. Friend of Racers Reunion, friend of mine, Tim Flock's widow, and I visited the NASCAR Hall of Fame each year. And I visited one time with her, and it was a wonderful opportunity to sit and talk with her and see her view Tim Flock's display in the Hall of Fame. She watched the videos of her late husband, put on the headset, listened to his voice, and she's part of the video as well. So she watched herself in the presentation, which I know she has seen before. But it was a very personal and moving experience when I stood with Frances in the Hall of Fame and watched her watch her husband's video. It brought her to tears. Probably brought me a little dusty too. I think my allergies kicked up then as well when Frances watched that video. It was very moving. Lovely tribute to her husband, Tim Flock, in the Hall of Fame, one of NASCAR's pioneers. I was privileged and honored to know Frances. And gosh, prayers go out to her family on her passing. A lovely, beautiful woman, such a big part of NASCAR's history and foundation. Frances, we will miss you. Everyone at Racers Reunion Radio and all of our family, Jeff Gilder, Dustin Gilder, Tim Leeming, Jack Walker, all the guys. We love you. We miss you. You're fantastic. We're sorry you're gone. But I didn't want to go any further without mentioning Francis Flock. And also, let's go back to the April 1st moment. Forget April Fool's Day, but let's go with April Fool's Day, a very memorable date to all of us. April Fool's Day, 1993. The plane crash, the day of the plane crash, which took the life of Alan Kulwicki as he flew to Bristol, Tennessee. Also lost in that plane crash, the pilot Charlie Campbell and Mark Brooks and Dan Duncan from Hooters. All four of them perished in that crash as we began the Bristol weekend in 1993. This is always a personal memory for me as we think about Kulwicki and where April Fool's Day falls in the calendar each year. I literally had seen Kulwicki 1 week before at his race shop. And in 1993, I was living in Connecticut. And longtime listeners of this show, you've probably heard this story before, but bear with me for sharing again, as it is April 1st. And we remember that this sad day in 1993. Kulwicki was the 1992 champion of then known as the Winston Cup Series. I was living in Connecticut as a mechanic and a modified crew member at nights and on weekends, both in NASCAR and dirt, and wanted to make the jump professionally to the Southland. I wanted to move to Charlotte. I wanted to look into NASCAR. I wanted to find out what this was about. How do I become one of those guys on TV? I am doing the same thing here. I'm building race cars. I'm fabricating. I'm being a mechanic. I'm setting them up. I'm changing tires on the weekends. I'm doing it for free. How do I make this my profession? Not knowing any better, I took a vacation and I came to Charlotte, North Carolina to look around. I had resumes in hand. Remember resumes? Yeah, pieces of paper that you actually handed to somebody. Well, I had those in hand and my racing experience, and I went knocking door to door. I didn't know a soul around here. I was looking at apartments. I was going from race teams door to door, which in 1993, there were a hell of a lot more race teams you could knock on a door with than there are in 2019. Let me tell you, because of the industry contraction. But I digress. And I knocked door to door, and I spoke to a lot of receptionists that turned me away. They're trained to do that. I did see a few crew chiefs, a few shop managers, a few mechanics, and I had varying degrees of success and failure as I spent the week here, learned about the area, learned about the sport, learned what it would take to become a professional. And I went to a building, another race shop, as I went to so many, and I went to Alan Kulwicki's shop, which is a building now. I'm not sure what's in there now anymore. I couldn't tell you what's there today, but it's located just outside of, I believe it would be the second turn at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. I went to the shop and I went to the lobby. I don't know how many receptionists I had seen during this week, but I handed her my resume and said, "Hi, I'm looking for a job." She said, "Okay, hang on." She got up from a chair and she disappeared. She left the lobby, left her office, went down a hallway. Was gone a few moments, came back, and she said, "Okay, have a seat. He'll be right with you." Well, I talked to a lot of general managers. I had talked to a lot of crew chiefs. I was expecting so-and-so and so-and-so to come out and talk to me. Well, lo and behold, I'm sitting there in the lobby. Out come around the corner. Alan Kulwicki himself is holding my resume. And he comes around the corner and says, "Patrick?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Alan." And he shook out his hand. He shook my hand. And we went back down the hallway, and we sat at his desk. And I was interviewed by Alan Kulwicki for his race team. I told him about my experience. He explained to me a lot of the responsibilities and what my duties would be with the race team. If you wanted to be on the type of team, what was expected of you. And to me, I found him not funny, very serious, hard-nosed, not mean, but he certainly wasn't laid back and relaxed. He wasn't funny, he wasn't humorous, he was deadly serious about racing and his team. He was not going to hire a guy like me with as little experience, but he did teach me and tell me how to get here and how to make a career of this. Years later, I did just what Kulwicki told me to do, and it worked. I had to be here. I picked up my stuff. I relocated to the area. I picked Mooresville because it was Race City, USA. I got an apartment, and I started knocking on doors. The important thing that he taught me was that opportunity was here if you wanted it, but it was available within a moment's notice. You couldn't wait for you to sell a house, to move, to pack, to relocate, to find an apartment, anything. You had to be here. I moved here years later, unemployed, but I was here ready for the opportunity. I took a job, I continued, and I worked nights and weekends on race cars down here voluntarily on Busch North cars, ASA cars, some of the lower tier cup cars, but I got experience on these type of cars, and they taught me how the cars went together, which was so different than a modified. What I knew at a modified, I almost had to unlearn and then learn what it took to build the cup style cars. I did that. Opportunity eventually came my way. I was hired into the upper leagues of NASCAR, got my break, got my foot in the door, and made my career here for about whatever how many years until the market crash of '08. However, it was all those years ago that Alan Kulwicki sat with me, talked with me, and explained to me about the sport, about the politics of it, about the workload, the level, the skill level. He gave me the look behind the curtain of what I needed to do, what I needed to bring to Charlotte in order to make it and get hired by a team. I didn't know anybody. My uncle or my dad wasn't a team owner, wasn't a crew chief. No one was going to make this happen but me. So I did it, and it happened. Wasn't easy, but I did it. And it was because I took the advice of Alan Kulwicki way back in 1993 as he showed me and told me, taught me how to get here and how to do it. I talked to him. I don't remember the exact date, but it was that weekend. It was the weekend leading up to the Darlington race in March of 1993. Well, Kulwicki finished sixth in that race. His final start in the Cup Series was a sixth place finish. The following week was the race at Bristol, and on Thursday he was killed in that plane crash heading to Bristol, Tennessee. So I'm not sure exactly if it was a week to the day that I met and sat with Kulwicki in his office in his race shop, but it was pretty close. It was pretty close to it. He was on his way to Darlington maybe within a day or two. So yeah, it was the week leading up to Darlington. We had the blizzard the week before, postponed the Atlanta race 1 week to an open weekend from early March to mid-March. I came down here the following week to visit the area leading up to Darlington and find out all about NASCAR and the inner workings. Also met John Nemechek too, Joe's brother, another driver taken from us way too soon. A lot of folks I was able to meet in that trip down here help shape me and make some decisions for the rest of my life. April 1st, 2019, rest in peace. We miss you and remember you, Alan Kulwicki. Jumping to 2019 racing items, I'm looking at Ferrari's problems 2 races in to the Formula One season. Charles Leclerc drove a brilliant race in Bahrain. Should have, could have, would have won the Grand Prix there yesterday, but Ferrari's engine just faded at the end of it. He completed the podium as the Mercedes duo of Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas completed 1 and 2, but they weren't the fastest 2 cars. Not by any stretch of the imagination. Leclerc had the fastest car. It is nice to see Ferrari on the front row. Nice to see Ferrari outpulling Mercedes. Couldn't make the show without coughing. Tried it. Thanks. Excuse me. Mercedes has competition this year. Not, it's not just going to be the Hamilton and Bottas show. Vettel and Leclerc will be giving those guys some game. They'll be giving them some race, but they've got certainly reliabilities issues 2 races into the season. And Mercedes already has a big constructor lead. They've got essentially a 20-something point lead already 2 races in, about a race in, a race worth of points. So if Ferrari, I'm looking at the umbrella view, the 10,000-foot view, fast but doesn't last. That will not win you a title. Mercedes, I don't think is as quick as the Ferraris so far this year, but if the Ferraris can't make the distance, it doesn't matter. It will be a Mercedes show. I believe Ferrari's got it in them to correct these problems. They've got the speed, just get the cars to last. I'd rather do that than the other way around, try to figure out how to get faster but be reliable. I'd rather be fast, have the cars break, and fix what's broken and keep the speed. This is going to be a really good Formula One season. I'm very interested to see Leclerc's first win, and I don't think it will take that long. I'll ask you guys, getting back to the Menks and Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series, the qualifying format on these downforce tracks. Does it seem like NASCAR can screw up anything? And I'm not even sure if it's actually NASCAR. I say that as an industry, but it seems like the teams. It doesn't seem to be a problem with the rules, with how NASCAR is set up with the format. But goodness gracious, this seems like the team's just jerking around with too many games. We are going to go back to single car qualifying if they're not careful. That's dull. I don't enjoy it, but if the fiascos keep coming, which qualifying seems to be more and more like a punchline every single week on these downforce tracks, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. It just seems like I'm tilting my head at the screen like a dog. It's bizarre watching these guys not qualify or not turn laps or not want to go out on laps. Maybe we need the final session to just be everybody's at minimum speed within 30 seconds, or you're starting last. But why should you have to do that? I mean, there's group qualifying in all kinds of formats, but the lead car on these downforce tracks is at a distinct disadvantage with this downforce package. Nobody wants to be first. So once again, we've built so many rules and too much of a rule book. We've painted ourselves in a corner. Isn't that like a repetitive story for the last 15 years in the Cup Series? Too many rules causing too many problems. Then we make more rules to fix the broken rules. It's like a hypochondriac just taking pills. NASCAR qualifying gets my award for the punchline of the week. Some last-minute plans derailed a chance to go to South Boston, Virginia this weekend for the modified race. I may be able to come north a bit more this year, my modified brethren, only during the warmer weather, because my blood has changed as I moved here to the south. So I'm not much of a cold weather guy, but dang, I'm liking the Thompson Stafford stuff, and you may see me up there yet. Plans being announced soon. And here's a real story that came out today. Austin Wayne Self has been suspended indefinitely from NASCAR for substance abuse. And no, it's not an April Fool's Day joke. What an awful day for that to be announced. I'm sorry for Austin. He's been a guest on this show before. I wish him well in the road to recovery. As we close the show, a tip of the hat to Motor Week Illustrated, as we're going to award our Racer of the Week. A lot of different guys have put some thought into this one. Was not a clear-cut winner, but I'll go with this. Here is the Racer of the Week. He won his first race of the season last Friday in Hanford, California. It was his 40th career World of Outlaw Sprint Series win and his first win in his new Jason Johnson racing team. It was also the team's first win since Johnson died in a crash last year. Our Racer of the Week for April 1st, 2019, David Gravel, the winner at Hanford, California last Friday night. Thank you so much for tuning in this evening. In between our broadcasts, you keep up in the world of auto racing with SpeedwayReport.com. This broadcast and all of our past shows are uploaded onto the site. We also have racing articles to read. I hope you visited the site in the last few weeks while we were off the air. We've got all our archive shows if you want to rewatch them, and some good stories. Everything is loaded up on Facebook as well, on the Racers Reunion page, as well as Speedway Report with Patrick Reynolds. I'm Speedway Report on Twitter, Speedway Pat on Instagram, and in the RacersReunion.com forum are all of our episodes as well. YouTube, LinkedIn, and Google+. Come find me. Come connect. Big thanks to everyone on the Facebook Live feed for joining the conversation. And I want to thank all of our military past and present for the freedoms we enjoy as Americans in our daily life, including the simple things like bench racing right here on a Monday night. Freedom is not free, and a veteran paid that bill for us. To all of the men and women who are defending freedom and watching Speedway Report, take care of yourselves and come home soon. A special salute to the teachers, school staff, firefighters, police officers, and paramedics in our own communities. They are quiet and modest heroes every single day. God bless and thank you. You have been watching Speedway Report from the shores of Lake Norman in Race City, USA, Mooresville, North Carolina. Please like our Facebook page, Speedway Report with Patrick Reynolds, and you can follow me on Twitter at SpeedwayPat. Now, on the Drag Racing List Facebook page next is Racin' and Rockin' with Draglist.com. We got BP, JB, and BS with some drag racing and cool music coming right up. Now, I will be back here live in Facebook in 1 week. Good Lord willing. We'll be back Monday, April the 8th, and we will look at NASCAR Cup from Bristol, NHRA 4-wide in Las Vegas, Indy cars in Alabama, and a whole lot more short track racing. Thank you all for joining us. I'll see you guys next week.